The Grand Assembly Hall of Concordia Prime had never looked more beautiful. Lights from 1,000 worlds reflected off the crystal ceiling, casting rainbow patterns across the faces of delegates from 200 species. Today marked the 500th cycle of the Galactic Council, and every seat was filled. Ambassador Park Ji-woo stood at the human platform, his hands resting calmly on the metal railing. Behind him, 7 other humans waited in perfect silence. They wore simple blue uniforms with Earth's symbol on the shoulder. Nothing fancy. Nothing threatening. Just professional. Park looked out at the massive chamber. The council chair, Vex-Nar of the Crowline species, sat on the highest platform. His 4 arms rested on ancient stone armrests that had supported 1,000 leaders before him. Below him, the council members arranged themselves in a half-circle, each on a platform that showed their rank and age in the council. Ambassador Park, Vex-Nar's voice boomed through the chamber. You may present your proposal. Park bowed slightly. Respectful. Always respectful. Thank you, Council Chair. Humanity comes before you today with a simple request. We have been members of this council for 50 years. In that time, we have followed every law, respected every boundary, and contributed to the peace and prosperity of this union. He paused. Around him, delegates shifted in their seats. Some looked interested. Others looked bored. A few looked nervous. We ask for limited expansion rights. Park continued. 3 new colony worlds in Sector 447. The worlds are uninhabited. They fall within the resource zones designated for expanding species. We have surveyed them and found them suitable for human life. We simply ask for permission to begin settlement. Murmurs filled the chamber. Park expected this. Humans had not asked for expansion rights in 30 years. They had been patient. They had been good citizens. Vex-Nar raised one hand for silence. The council will discuss this proposal in closed session. Please wait outside. Ambassador, Park nodded. He turned to his delegation and made a small gesture. Together, they walked out of the chamber. Their footsteps echoed in the quiet hall. No complaints. No arguments. They simply obeyed. The human delegation waited in a small room with white walls and uncomfortable chairs. Nobody spoke much. Park checked his data pad, reading reports from Earth and the colonies. His assistant, Kim Min-jung, sat nearby working on her own device. The others rested or reviewed documents. 3 hours passed. Finally, the door opened. A young Thyarian recorder named Thys gestured to them. The council is ready. Park stood. His team followed. They walked back into the chamber with the same calm they had shown before. Vex-Nar looked different now. His expression was harder. The council members behind him looked uncomfortable. Some would not meet Park's eyes. Ambassador Park, Vex-Nar began. The council has reviewed your request carefully. We have discussed it with great seriousness and consideration. Park waited. Your request is denied. The word hung in the air. Park's expression did not change. Vex-Nar continued. Furthermore, the council has decided that humanity must accept new population management protocols. Your species reproduces at a rate that concerns us. Your ability to adapt to different environments is unusual. For the safety and stability of the council, we must ensure that human population growth is controlled. End quote. Park stood very still. Behind him, he heard Kim take a sharp breath. We have seen what happens, Vex-Nar said, his voice taking on a lecturing tone. When species expand too quickly, ancient records tell of civilizations that grew too fast, consumed too much, pushed too far. They became problems. Threats. We are preventing that outcome. Council Chair, Park said quietly, we have been nothing but cooperative, and we appreciate that. Vex-Nar replied. Which is why we trust you will accept these new protocols with the same grace you have shown in the past. Park looked around the chamber. 200 species. Some looked sympathetic. Most looked relieved. A few looked smug. They were afraid. That was what this was. Fear. We have committed no crime, Park said. This is not about crime, Vexnar said. This is about prevention, about wisdom, about the greater good. The greater good, Park repeated softly. I see. Vexnar seemed to relax slightly. I am glad you understand, Ambassador. Now, if you would simply sign the agreement to the new protocols, we can move forward and— No. The word cut through the chamber like a knife. Vexnar's forearms tensed. Excuse me? No. Park said again. His voice was not loud. It was not angry. It was simply final. We will not sign. Ambassador. You must understand. I understand perfectly, Council Chair. Kim moved first, closing her datapad. The others followed. They collected their documents, their devices, their bags. The chamber filled with confused murmurs. Ambassador Park. Vexnar stood. You cannot simply walk out. We must discuss this. Negotiate. Find a compromise. Park looked up at him. For the first time in 50 years, Vexnar saw something cold in a human's eyes. There is nothing to discuss, Park said. You have made the Council's position very clear. You fear us. You wish to control us. You will restrict us not for what we have done, but for what you imagine we might do. That is not. It is exactly that. Park's voice remained calm, but each word was carved from ice. 50 years. 50 years we have followed your rules, helped your people, solved your problems. And this is your answer. Population controls. Like we are animals to be managed. 84. 17 Sev. He turned and walked toward the exit. His delegation followed. This is unacceptable, Vexnar shouted. No species walks away from the Council. You will return to your station, and we will discuss this properly. Park stopped at the door. He did not turn around. Humanity is done discussing, he said. The Council has made its choice. Now we will make ours. They left. The chamber erupted in chaos. Delegates shouted questions. Council members demanded order. Vexnar slammed his hands on his armrests, calling for calm. Only Thys, the young recorder, remained silent. She watched the empty doorway where the humans had disappeared. She had recorded every word, every gesture. She had seen something the others had missed. The humans had not been angry. They had been disappointed, and somehow, that was much worse. 3 months had passed since the humans walked out of the Grand Assembly. At first, the Council had laughed about it. Species often made dramatic gestures when they did not get what they wanted. They would be back. They always came back. But the humans did not come back. Trade Minister Quell was the first to notice something wrong. He was a Vortian, a species that looked like a walking tree with too many branches. His people ran the commercial districts of 17 council stations. And suddenly, things were not working right. Where are the medical supplies? He asked his assistant. The shipment from the human colony on Verdant Station. It should have arrived yesterday. His assistant checked the logs. Sir, it says the contract was cancelled 2 months ago. What? By whom? By the humans, sir. Quell felt something cold in his chest. Contact them. Find out what happened. His assistant tried. The communication went through. A human woman appeared on the screen. Professional and polite. I am sorry, she said. But we are no longer fulfilling that contract. We have closed our medical facility on Verdant Station. Why? Quell demanded. That facility served 3 systems. The human woman smiled. It did not reach her eyes. The Council made its position on humanity very clear. We are simply respecting that position. Thank you for your inquiry. I have Aran. We are seeking decided it. Apply for 42S. We are seeking discussed 42. The screen went dark. Quell stared at it. Then he started checking other contracts. His branches began to shake as he read. 7 human trade ships had stopped coming to council stations. 12 human research facilities had closed. 23 human mining operations had shut down. He was not the only one noticing. On Nexus Prime, the main agricultural station for the inner systems, Director Val watched his crop yields drop for the 3rd week in a row. The Thiarian farming methods were not working anymore. They needed the modifications that the human agricultural specialists had taught them. But the human specialists were gone. They had resigned quietly and left. Polite messages. No anger. Just, "We are returning to human space. Thank you for the opportunity to work with you." On Helix Station, the main medical center faced a crisis. 3 of their best doctors were human. They had trained dozens of alien doctors in new surgical techniques. Now, all 3 were gone. And the surgeries they used to perform? Nobody else knew how to do them. Director Miss sent an urgent message to human space. "Please, we need your doctors. We have patients dying." The response came from Ambassador Park himself. "We are very sorry to hear about your patients. Perhaps the Council's medical division can assist you. Humanity cannot help at this time. But you must." Miss sent back. "People are dying." Park's response was cold. The Council determined that humanity required population controls because we are dangerous. Surely, the Council has considered how to provide services without dangerous humanity's involvement. No more messages came after that. Council Chair Vexnar sat in his private chamber, reading report after report. The situation was getting worse. Humans had been involved in everything. Nobody had realized how much. They had worked quietly, never demanding attention or credit. Now the work was not being done. Vexnar called an emergency session. The council members gathered, and for the first time in centuries, they looked worried. "This is a temporary problem," Elder Zorith said. He was ancient. Even by council standards, his species lived for thousands of years. The humans are making a point. They will return when they realize they need us. Trade Minister Quell stood up, his branches shaking with anger. "They do not need us. We need them. Do you understand? 17 systems are facing food shortages. Medical supplies are running out in 23 sectors. The mining operations that supplied our shipyards are closed. We need to fix this now." Quote, "We will send a diplomatic mission," Vexnar decided. "We will negotiate. Find a compromise." They sent 3 diplomatic ships to the border of human space. All 3 were met by human patrol vessels. The humans were polite, professional. They listened to the council's messages. Then they said no. "Ambassador Park has made humanity's position clear," the human captain said. "We are withdrawing from council space. All humans are returning to our own territory. This is not negotiable. But we can discuss the population protocols," the council diplomat said desperately. "Perhaps we were too hasty." The human captain's expression did not change. The council made its decision. Humanity has made ours. Please return to council space. You are not welcome here. The diplomatic ships returned with nothing. This, the young recorder, had been watching everything carefully. She was not important enough for anyone to notice her. But she had access to all the records. She started going through them, searching for information about what humans actually did in council space. What she found shocked her. Humans were in 10,000 different operations across council space. They were engineers, on stations, logistics officers, in shipping companies, teachers in schools, doctors, in hospitals, agricultural specialists on farming worlds, researchers in laboratories, translators, advisors, coordinators. They were everywhere. And now, they were nowhere. This found something else. Records of conflicts that almost happened but did not. She dug deeper. In each case, human diplomats had been involved. Quiet conversations. Careful negotiations. Problems solved before they became wars. 6 major conflicts prevented in the last 50 years. All because of human intervention. Nobody had noticed. The humans never took credit. Thys took her findings to Vexnar. He read through them slowly, his face growing darker. "This cannot be accurate," he said finally. "It is all in the official records, Council Chair," Thys said quietly. "The humans were holding everything together, and we did not even see it." Vexnar dismissed her. But that night, he could not sleep. He kept thinking about Park's face when he had walked out. That cold disappointment. The next morning brought worse news. Long-range sensors had detected something in deep human space. Massive construction projects. Dozens of them. The humans were building stations, shipyards, colonies. They were building fast, faster than should be possible. How are they doing this? A council member asked. The military advisor pulled up the scans. They are not following council building protocols. They are using their own methods, more efficient, more dangerous. They are expanding at 3 times the rate we ever allowed them. We must stop them, Elder Zorith said. How? Vexnar asked quietly. They are in their own space. They are breaking no laws. They are simply leaving us behind. The room fell silent. On the view screen, the scans showed humanity building a future that did not include the Council at all. And for the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council felt afraid. 6 months after the walkout, Council Intelligence Officer Kren stood in front of a massive display screen. He was Drakian, a species known for their attention to detail. Right now, he wished he was less good at his job, because what he was seeing terrified him. The screen showed human space. 6 months ago, it had been orderly, controlled. Now it looked like an explosion of activity. 73 new colonies, Kren said to the assembled council members. Established in 6 months. That should be impossible. Well, yet they are doing it, Vexnar said quietly. Kren changed the image. These are their shipyards. They have built 9 new ones. Each one is producing ships at a rate we cannot match. How? Elder Zorith demanded. They do not have the resources. They do not have the technology. They have both, Kren replied. We just never let them use it. Look here. He highlighted several asteroids in human space. They are mining resources at incredible speed, and their manufacturing techniques are far more efficient than ours. Another council member leaned forward. Are they preparing for war? No. Kren shook his head. That is what makes this worse. They are not building warships. They are building colony ships, cargo vessels, research stations, medical facilities. They are building a complete civilization. The room fell silent. They were holding back, Vexnar said softly. All this time, they were limiting themselves to stay within our rules. Kren nodded. And now they are not. On the human colony New Sol, Ambassador Park Ji-woo stood on a balcony overlooking the construction of the city. Buildings rose quickly. Their designs a blend of Earth architecture and new materials developed for alien worlds. In the distance, agricultural fields stretched to the horizon. His assistant, Kim Min-jung, approached with a datapad. 3 more council species have sent requests for trade agreements. Responses? Park asked. We told them what we told the others. We are willing to trade, but only as equals. Fair prices, fair terms, no restrictions on our growth or development. Park nodded. And 2 accepted immediately. The 3rd is still considering. Kim paused. The council has forbidden species from trading with us independently. I know, Park said. What will those species do? Park smiled slightly. They will choose. And I think we both know what most of them will choose. He was right. The Vortians were the first. Trade Minister Quell himself traveled to the border of human space and requested a meeting. Park met him personally. The council says we cannot trade with you, Quell said. His branches were shaking, but not from fear, from anger. They threatened sanctions, expulsion from council stations. That is their right, Park said calmly. They are fools. Quell exploded. Your medical supplies saved thousands of my people. Your agricultural techniques feed 3 of our colonies. Your engineers taught us how to improve our stations. And the council wants us to give all that up because they are too proud to admit they were wrong? What will you do? Park asked. Quell straightened. My people have taken a vote. We are withdrawing from the council. We wish to establish an independent trade agreement with humanity. Park extended his hand. Welcome, Trade Minister. We are honored to work with you. The Vorchans were not the last. Within 2 months, 5 more species followed. They were smaller species, ones that had always been on the edges of council power. The humans had treated them with respect, had helped them without asking for anything in return. Now they chose humans over the council. Thys watched all of this from her position in the records department. She saw the council fracturing. She saw the fear in the eyes of the elder members. She saw the anger in the younger ones. She made a decision. Late one night, she compiled a report. It contained everything she had found about human contributions to the council. Every conflict they had prevented. Every innovation they had shared. Every species they had helped. She added one more section. Records of the council's treatment of humanity over the 50 years. How humans had asked for small expansions and been denied. How they had offered technologies and been refused. How they had requested simple respect and been given restrictions instead. She sent the report to every council member. Then she sent it to every species in the council. All of them. The next morning, the council chamber was in chaos. This is classified information, Elder Zoreth roared. Who released this? Thys stood. Her legs were shaking, but her voice was steady. I did. Every eye turned to her. You had no authority, Zoreth said. I had a duty, Thys replied. A duty to the truth. The council has lied to itself. For 6 months, we pretended the humans were being unreasonable. We pretended they owed us their cooperation, but the truth is in those records. We used them. We restricted them. We feared them. And now we are suffering, because they are gone. Silence, Vex-Nar commanded. But his voice lacked strength. No, Thys said. She looked around the chamber. Read the reports. All of you. See what the humans did for us. See how we repaid them. Then tell me who was wrong. The chamber erupted in arguments. Some council members defended the old decision. Others questioned it. Species that had never spoken up before were suddenly demanding answers. In the middle of the chaos, an alarm sounded. Red lights flashed across the chamber. Every screen lit up with the same warning symbol. Kren appeared on the main display, his face pale. Council Chair. We have a crisis. The Krell swarm has awakened. The chamber fell silent instantly. The Krell swarm. Every species knew the stories. An ancient enemy that had destroyed civilizations. The council had fought them centuries ago, and barely won. The swarm had gone dormant. Everyone had hoped they would stay that way forever. Where? Vex-Nar asked. Outer Rim. Sector 890. They have already destroyed 3 outposts. Kren's hands were shaking. Council Chair, we need to mobilize the fleet immediately. Do it, Vex-Nar ordered. Send everything we have. As the council members rushed to their duties, Thys remained in her seat. She looked at the reports, still displayed on her screen. Reports of how humans had stopped the last 2 swarm incursions before they became major threats. The humans had protected the council from threats nobody else even knew existed. And now, when the council needed protection most, the humans were gone. Thys closed her eyes and prayed to whatever gods might listen that the council could survive what was coming. The council fleet gathered at Rally Point Sigma, just outside the Outer Rim, 200 warships from 50 different species. It should have been an impressive sight. It should have felt powerful. Instead, Admiral Korath felt sick. The Drakian commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, looking at the tactical display. The fleet was assembled. The ships were armed. But something was wrong. He could feel it in every report, every communication, every order. The fleet was not working together. Supply ships are not in position. His logistics officer reported. The Thyarian contingent says they did not receive the movement orders. I sent those orders 6 hours ago, Korath snapped. Yes, Admiral. But the Thyarians use a different communication protocol. The message was not translated correctly. Korath felt his stomach sink. There had always been translation issues. But usually the human communication officers caught them and fixed them before they became problems. The humans were gone now. Get me a translator, Korath ordered. Fix it immediately. It took 3 hours to sort out. 3 hours they did not have. The Krell swarm did not wait. They came like a dark tide, thousands of organic ships that moved like a single creature. They hit the Council's forward positions with terrible speed. All ships, battle formation, Korath ordered. Formation pattern, Delta 7. The Council ships tried to form up. But Delta 7 was a complex formation that required precise coordination. The Vortian ships moved into position quickly. The Krolene ships were too slow. The Thyarian ships went to the wrong coordinates. Within minutes, the formation was a mess. The Krell smashed into them like a hammer. Council ships scattered. Some tried to hold the line. Others retreated. There was no coordination. No unity. Korath watched his fleet fall apart and realized the truth with cold horror. The humans had not just been communication officers. They had been the ones who made the fleet work. They had coordinated between species. They had anticipated problems. They had kept everything running smoothly. Without them, the Council fleet was just a collection of ships that could not work together. Retreat, Korath ordered. All ships, fall back to Rally Point Theta. The retreat was chaos. Ships crashed into each other trying to escape. The Krell pursued, destroying the slower vessels. By the time the fleet reached safety, they had lost 43 ships. 43 ships in one battle. The Council had not lost that many ships in a century. Back on Concordia Prime, Vexnar received the report in stunned silence. The Council chamber was packed with delegates, all demanding answers. This is a disaster, Trade Minister Quell said bluntly. The fleet cannot fight without proper coordination. We will adapt, Elder Zoreth said. But his voice was uncertain. Adapt how? Quell demanded. It took us centuries to build the coordination we had. The humans provided the structure that held it together. They trained our officers. They developed the protocols. They made it work. We cannot rely on one species for our survival, Zoreth argued. We already did, Quell shouted. For 50 years, we just never admitted it. Vexnar raised his hand for silence. We will send a message to the humans. We will request their assistance. They will refuse, a council member said. Then we will offer them terms. Compromise. Negotiate. Vexnar personally recorded the message. He tried to sound diplomatic, reasonable. Ambassador Park, the council faces a grave threat. The Krell swarm has awakened. We have suffered significant losses. We request humanity's assistance in this crisis. We are willing to discuss terms for your return to the council. He sent the message and waited. 2 days later, a response came. Park Ji-woo appeared on the screen, sitting in a simple office. His expression was calm, professional, cold. Council Chair Vexnar, humanity has received your request for assistance. We have considered it carefully. Vexnar leaned forward, hope rising in his chest. Our answer is no. The hope died. Park continued in that same calm voice. The Council determined that humanity was too dangerous for expansion rights, that our population was too large, that our capabilities were too concerning. Surely, the Council's wisdom extends to its own defense. Humanity will not interfere in Council affairs. We wish you success in your conflict. Ambassador, please, Vexnar said. People are dying. Park's expression did not change. People have always been dying, Council Chair. When our medical facilities closed and patients died, the Council did not help. When our people asked for expansion room and were denied, the Council did not care. Why should humanity care now? Because it is the right thing to do. Now Park's expression shifted. Just slightly. A hint of anger broke through the professional mask. The right thing to do, Park repeated softly. We did the right thing for 50 years. We helped every species that asked. We solved problems without seeking credit. We protected the Council from threats you never even knew existed. And when we asked for the smallest recognition, the smallest freedom, you responded with fear and control. He leaned forward. Do you know what hurt most, Council Chair? It was not the denial of our expansion request. It was the population controls. You looked at us and saw animals to be managed. Not partners, not equals, animals. We were wrong, Vexnar said quietly. I see that now. Do you? Or do you simply see that you need us? Park shook his head. Humanity will not return to save you, Council Chair. Not until the Council learns what respect means. Good luck with your war. The screen went dark. Vexnar sat in silence. Around him, the Council chamber filled with voices. Anger. Fear. Blame. Thys watched from her station. She had seen this coming. She had tried to warn them. Now it was too late. Or was it? She looked at the data on her screen. Information about human space. About the new colonies. About Ambassador Park. She made a decision that could cost her everything. That night, Thys left Concordia Prime on a small shuttle. She filed a flight plan for a survey mission. Nobody questioned it. She was not important enough to watch closely. She crossed into human space 3 days later. Human patrol ships met her immediately. This is Patrol Vessel Incheon, a voice said. You are in human territory. State your purpose. My name is Thys. I am a council recorder. I request a meeting with Ambassador Park Ji-woo. There was a pause. Why? Because I believe I can help. And because the galaxy is going to fall apart if someone does not fix this. Another pause. Longer this time. Follow us, the voice said finally. Do not deviate from the course we set. Any deviation will be treated as hostile action. Understood, Thys said. They took her to New Seoul. She had expected military facilities. Weapons. Defenses. Instead, she saw a beautiful city filled with parks and schools and homes. She saw humans walking with aliens from the species that had left the Council. She saw children playing together. She saw peace. They brought her to a building overlooking the city. Park Ji-woo waited in a simple office with windows that showed the sunset. Recorder Thys, he said. Not friendly, not hostile, just professional. Thys took a breath. To ask what it would take for humanity to return, Park studied her for a long moment. The Council sent you? No. I came on my own. She met his eyes. The Council is failing, Ambassador. Not just against the Krell. Everything is falling apart. Species are leaving. Others are fighting. The structure is breaking. Without humanity, the Council cannot hold together. That is not humanity's problem. It will be, Thys said. When the Council falls, there will be chaos, wars, suffering. The strong species will prey on the weak. Everything will collapse. Humanity will not be able to stay isolated. The chaos will reach you eventually. Park said nothing. I read your records. Thys continued. All 50 years of them. I know what you did. How you helped. How you protected everyone. The Council treated you terribly. We were wrong. But if you let the galaxy burn because of that, millions will die, including people who had nothing to do with the Council's decision. What do you want from me, Recorder? Tell me what it would take, Thys said simply. What would humanity need to return? Not to save the council. To save the galaxy. Park walked to the window. He looked out at the city for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was tired. Respect, he said. Just respect. We never wanted to rule the council. We never wanted special treatment. We just wanted to be treated as equals. To be trusted. As partners. To be seen as people, not problems. He turned to face her. Can you give us that? Recorder Thys. Can the council? I do not know, Thys said honestly. Park smiled slightly. It was the first real expression she had seen from him. Then, let us talk. Thys returned to Concordia Prime, carrying a data chip. It contained humanity's terms for renewed cooperation. Her hands shook as she entered the council chamber. She had gone to human space without permission. She could be arrested, expelled, exiled. She did not care. The galaxy was more important than her career. Council Chair Vex'Nar looked up as she approached. His expression shifted from surprise to something like hope. Recorder Thys. We thought you were on a survey mission. I lied, Thys said simply. I went to human space. I met with Ambassador Park. The chamber exploded with noise. Council members shouted. Some demanded her arrest. Others demanded to know what she had learned. Vex'Nar raised his hand for silence. What did the humans say? Thys held up the data chip. They have terms. For cooperation. Not for rejoining the council. Not yet. But for helping with the Krell crisis and beginning to repair relations. Let me see them, Elder Zoreth demanded. Thys handed over the chip. Zoreth loaded it onto the main display. Every council member read the terms in silence. They were surprisingly simple. First, the council must publicly acknowledge humanity's contributions over the past 50 years. Second, the population control protocols must be removed immediately. Third, humanity would have a permanent seat on the council's decision-making committee, not just as observers, but as full partners. Fourth, humans would have the right to expand freely within unclaimed space. Fifth, other species currently under restriction would receive fair review of their status. This is outrageous, Zoreth said. They are demanding we change our entire structure. They are demanding respect, Thys said quietly. That is all. Everything on that list is simply treating them as equals. It sets a precedent. Other species will demand the same. Good, Trade Minister Quell said. He stood up, his branches firm and steady. Maybe they should. Maybe we have been wrong about more than just humanity. This is not just about right and wrong, another council member said. If we give in to these demands, we look weak. We are weak, Vex'Nar said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at him. Let us stop pretending otherwise. We lost 43 ships in one battle. Our fleet cannot coordinate. Our economy is failing. Species are leaving us. We are weak because we drove away the ones who made us strong. He looked around the chamber. I have been council chair for 300 cycles. I have seen the council at its best. And I have watched us make the worst mistake in our history. We feared humanity's strength, so we tried to control it, and we lost it entirely. What are you saying? Zoreth asked. I am saying we vote on these terms. Now, the chamber fell silent. Council Chair, Zoreth said carefully. If we accept these terms, everything changes. Everything has already changed, Vex'Nar replied. The question is, whether we change with it, or die clinging to the past. The vote was called. It was not unanimous. 23 council members voted against the terms. They were older members, ones who had been in power for centuries. They could not imagine the council being different than it always was. But 147 members voted yes. The terms were accepted. Vex'Nar did something then that no council chair had done in living memory. He stepped down from his platform and asked for a personal shuttle. He was going to human space himself. You cannot, Zorith said. The council chair does not leave Concordia Prime during a crisis. The council chair does what is necessary, Vexnar replied. And I will not send another messenger to clean up my mistakes. I will face Ambassador Park myself. The journey to New Sol took 5 days. Vexnar spent them reading reports. Every record of humanity's contributions. Every instance where humans had helped and been ignored. Every request they had made and been denied. By the time he arrived, he felt sick with shame. Park Ji-woo met him in the same simple office where he had met this. The human ambassador stood as Vex's Nar entered, a gesture of courtesy. But his expression was guarded. Council chair, Park said. This is unexpected. Ambassador Park, Vexnar replied. Thank you for seeing me. They sat across from each other, two leaders who had once worked together. Now there was a wall between them, built of broken trust. The council has accepted your terms, Vexnar said. I know. Recorder Thys sent word. She is remarkable. You should know that she risked everything to come to you. We know, Park said. Why are you here, council chair? Vexnar took a breath. To apologize. Personally. Not as a negotiating tactic. Not as politics. As someone who was wrong and wants to admit it. Park's expression did not change, but he listened. I was afraid of you. Vexnar continued. I looked at humanity and saw how quickly you adapted, how efficiently you worked, how naturally you connected with other species, and I was afraid that you would outgrow us. That the council would become irrelevant. So you tried to keep us small, Park said quietly. Yes. And I told myself, it was wisdom, that I was protecting the galaxy. But the truth is, I was protecting my own power. The council's power. We wanted to stay in control. Park sat back in his chair. He was quiet for a long moment. Do you know what the worst part was? Park said finally. It was not the restrictions. It was the contempt. You looked at us like we were children. Dangerous children who needed to be managed. We had proven ourselves for 50 years, and it was never enough. I know. Do you? Do you understand what it felt like to help save lives, prevent wars, build the future, and then be told we were too dangerous to be trusted? I am beginning to, Vexnar said quietly. I am reading the reports now. All the things you did that we never acknowledged. The Krell incursions you stopped before they became threats. The conflicts you prevented. The innovations you shared. He paused. Why did you never demand credit? Park smiled slightly. It was a sad smile. Because we did not do it for credit. We did it because it was right. Because we believed in the council. In the idea of species working together. His smile faded. We believed in something that did not actually exist. It can exist, Vexnar said. If we build it properly this time. As true partners. Not as masters and subjects. Can it? Can the council really change? I do not know, Vexnar admitted. But we must try. Because you were right. Without humanity, the council is failing. And when it fails, the galaxy will suffer. Park stood and walked to the window. Outside, the city of New Sol glowed in the evening light. Humans and aliens walked together in the streets. Children played in parks. It was peaceful. Safe. We have built something good here, Park said. Away from the council. Away from the restrictions. We are happy. I can see that. If we come back, if we help, things have to be different. Really different. Not just words. Not just promises. They will be. Vexnar said. I give you my word. And if I break it, you can leave again. This time, I would not blame you. Park turned to face him. The Krell crisis. How bad is it? Problem. Very bad. We have lost 60 ships now. The swarm is advancing. We cannot stop them. Park nodded slowly. I will need to speak with my people. And with the other species that left the council. We make decisions together now. Of course. 2 days later, Park sent his answer. Humanity would help. But not alone. They would come with the 5 species that had left the council. Together. As partners. The human fleet arrived at the Krell front 1 week later. 20 ships. Not a huge fleet. But they came with something the council had lost. Coordination. Admiral Korath watched from his flagship as the human vessels moved into position. They were efficient. Precise. Within an hour, human communication officers had integrated with every council ship. They did not take over. They helped. They translated. They coordinated. They made the fleet work again. All ships, Korath said. Formation Delta 7. This time, it worked. Every ship moved to the right position. The formation held. When the Krell attacked, they hit a unified force. The council fleet fought as one. The battle was hard. They lost ships, but they held the line. And slowly, they pushed the Krell back. It took 6 weeks to drive the swarm back to dormancy. 6 weeks of hard fighting. But with human coordination and council strength working together, they won. When the fleet returned to Concordia Prime, the council held a ceremony. Park Ji-woo stood with Admiral Korath and Vex Nar. Behind them, representatives from 200 species gathered. Vex Nar spoke to the assembled galaxy. Today, we honor those who fought. And we acknowledge a truth we should have admitted long ago. Humanity has protected this council, strengthened it, improved it, and we repaid them with fear and restriction. That ends today. He turned to Park. Ambassador Park Ji-woo, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer you a full seat at the council table, not as guests. As equals. As partners. Park shook his hand. Then he spoke to the assembly. Humanity accepts. But we do not return to the council that was. We return to help build the council that should be. One, where all species are treated with respect. Where strength is celebrated, not feared. Where we work together, not because we must, but because we choose to. He looked around the chamber. We never wanted to replace you. We just wanted to stand beside you. Let us build that future together. The chamber filled with applause. It was not universal. Some still opposed. Some still feared. But it was a beginning. This watched from her recorder's station. She had been promoted to senior recorder for her actions. She was part of the reform movement now, working to change the council from within. She looked at the display showing Park and Vex Nar standing together. 2 leaders who had been enemies, now working as partners. It would not be easy. There would be more conflicts, more disagreements. The council had centuries of habits to break. But for the first time in months, this felt hope. The galaxy had learned something important. Strength was not about control. It was about cooperation. And humanity had taught them that lesson. Not through conquest, but through their absence. Sometimes the best way to teach respect was to walk away and let people realize what they had lost. The council had learned. Now came the harder part, living up to what they had promised. In the chamber below, Park and Vex Nar talked quietly about the future. About new colonies. About joint research projects. About building something better than what had come before. Above them, the crystal ceiling reflected light from 1,000 worlds. Together, they would make sure that light continued to shine.
The strange signals appeared on the galactic hegemony sensors without warning. For 3 full cycles, the best minds of the Empire studied the unusual electromagnetic waves coming from an unmapped sector of space. They had never seen anything quite like it. The signals were organized but primitive, suggesting a young civilization that might be ripe for integration into the Empire. Ambassador Xalfar stood on the command deck of the Imperial vessel Dominant, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence as he watched the small blue planet grow larger on the main screen. His scales shimmered with anticipation under the ship's lights. After serving the hegemony for 200 years, he had overseen the integration of 17 species. This would be his 18th and final mission before retirement. Primitive communications technology, rudimentary space vessels, limited defensive capabilities, reported the ship's tactical officer. They call their world Earth and themselves humans. They appear to be in the early stages of planetary unification, with multiple governing bodies. Xalfar nodded. Typical of pre-integration species, prepare the diplomatic approach. Standard protocol. In the cold emptiness near the orbit of Mars, Captain Ethan Miller was completing a routine patrol in the UES Defender. At 35, Miller was one of Earth's most experienced space officers, though that experience was limited to the solar system. Humanity had not yet ventured beyond their cosmic backyard. "Captain, we're picking up something big coming in from the outer system," said his sensor officer, her voice tense. "Multiple objects. They're not ours, sir." Miller leaned forward in his chair. "Show me." The screen displayed several large vessels moving with precision toward Earth. They were unlike anything humans had built, sleek, massive, and clearly designed for interstellar travel. "Send message to Earth Command. Possible first contact scenario. Standing by for instructions. And open a communication channel, all frequencies." Earth Command responded quickly, ordering Miller to make initial contact while they assembled an emergency response team. With sweaty palms but a steady voice, Miller broadcast humanity's first message to alien visitors. "This is Captain Ethan Miller of the United Earth Defense Force. You are approaching Earth territory. Please identify yourselves and state your intentions." There was a long pause before the response came. The voice was oddly accented, but in perfect English. "This is Ambassador Xalfar of the Galactic Hegemony. We greet Earth and its people. We come to welcome you into the greater galactic community." Over the next few hours, Miller maintained communication as his small vessel escorted the alien ships to a position near Earth's moon. Additional defense ships arrived, forming a protective screen that the aliens surely recognized as ineffective against their technology, but respected as a gesture. Miller was instructed to participate in a video conference with the alien ambassador. The face that appeared on his screen was reptilian with 4 blinking eyes and greenish gold scales. "Captain Miller, the hegemony has monitored your world's development with interest. Your species shows promise. We have come to offer Earth integration into our empire, access to our technology, our protection, and our markets." Miller kept his expression neutral despite the alarm bells ringing in his mind. "What exactly does integration involve, Ambassador?" "A simple process. Earth would become a protectorate of the hegemony. We would establish administrative centers, guide your technological and social development, and gradually introduce you to galactic standards. Your resources would, of course, contribute to the greater good of the empire. And if we prefer to develop independently." The ambassador's upper eyes blinked in what seemed like amusement. Few choose that path. Those who do eventually see reason when they understand the benefits of integration and the difficulties of isolation. Miller's jaw tightened. He had received new instructions from Earth Command moments before, agreed upon by an emergency session of world leaders. "Ambassador Xalfar, I have been authorized to deliver humanity's response. Stay away from Earth." The alien's 4 eyes blinked rapidly before he let out a sound that Miller recognized as laughter. "Captain, perhaps you misunderstand. The hegemony spans thousands of worlds. We are not offering a choice, but extending a courtesy by announcing our intentions. Your species will be integrated. The only variable is how smooth the process will be." Miller leaned forward, his eyes hard. "No, Ambassador, you misunderstand. That wasn't a request. It was a warning. 3 days after the first contact, small alien ships began appearing in Earth's orbit. They were sleek and nearly invisible to most tracking systems, but Lieutenant Amanda Wells spotted them from her post at Lunar Station 1. Amanda had always had good eyes. That's what got her this job, watching the stars from the dark side of the moon. Now those good eyes were saving humanity's secrets from alien spies. Command, we have at least 6 unidentified craft using some kind of light-bending technology. They're scanning major cities and military bases, she reported, her fingers flying across the control panel as she tracked the visitors. On Earth, Dr. Kevin Harrison felt uneasy as he entered his lab at the Advanced Defense Research Facility. Something seemed off. His notes on the new shield technology were slightly out of order. His computer showed logins at times when he had been asleep. Someone, or something, was very interested in his work. Kevin checked his experimental setup, hidden behind heavy steel doors. The prototype was still there, a small device that could theoretically create a force field strong enough to stop any known weapon. It was years from completion, but now he wondered if they had years at all. "I need to speed this up," he whispered to himself, locking the door and starting a new series of tests. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the Galactic Council gathered in their grand hall. 50 alien species were represented, but the 7 founding races held the most power. Ambassador Xalfar stood before them, giving his report on Earth. "The humans are primitive but stubborn," he said. "Their technology is basic. They have only reached their own moon and sent simple probes to nearby planets. However, they show unusual aggression and independence for such a young species." Council leader Vexor, a tall being with crystalline skin, leaned forward. "What resources does this planet offer?" "Water in abundance, diverse biological life, rich mineral deposits, and the humans themselves could be valuable. They adapt quickly and show remarkable physical endurance." Another council member spoke up. "And their military capabilities. Limited to their own planet and immediate space. Their weapons are primitive, nuclear at best. Nothing that could threaten a proper hegemony force." Vexor nodded slowly. "Then we proceed with standard integration protocol. Send assessment teams. Prepare a battle group. If they resist, we will show them the futility of defiance." Back on Earth, world leaders gathered in an emergency session of the United Nations. For the first time in human history, all countries put aside their differences in the face of a common threat. "The aliens have ignored our warning," said the Secretary General. "Their ships are in our orbit. They are studying us, preparing for something bigger." Admiral Susan Carter of the United Earth Defense Force stood to address the assembly. "We have tracked at least 20 alien vessels conducting surveillance. Based on their technology level compared to ours, a direct military confrontation would be challenging." "Are you saying we should surrender?" asked one world leader. "No," replied Susan firmly. "I'm saying we need to change the rules of engagement. We need to accelerate our special weapons programs, pool our resources, and prepare for asymmetric warfare." The room filled with murmurs as leaders considered her words. On the other side of the world, Major Daniel Williams led his Special Forces team through a night training exercise. They had been practicing new tactics designed specifically to fight enemies with superior technology. "Remember," he told his soldiers, "advanced doesn't mean invincible. Everything has a weakness. Our job is to find it." The soldiers nodded grimly. They had all seen the images of the alien ships, had all been briefed on what was likely coming. None of them showed fear. In his private laboratory, Kevin worked through the night, fueled by coffee and determination. His computer models showed progress. The shield was beginning to stabilize in simulations. If he had another month, maybe 2, he might have a working prototype. But in the darkness of space, the Hegemony Battle Group was already assembling. Enormous ships, built for war and conquest, moved into position. They had done this hundreds of times before, on hundreds of worlds. To them, Earth was just another name on a very long list. They had received humanity's warning. They had chosen to ignore it. Soon, they would discover if that was a mistake. The sky turned red over New York as the alien ships broke through the atmosphere. Similar scenes played out across the globe. London, Beijing, Cairo, Sydney, all watched as the massive vessels of the galactic hegemony descended through clouds, positioning themselves above major population centers. Admiral Susan Carter stood in the Global Defense Command Center, her face lit by the glow of emergency screens. Around her, military personnel from 24 nations worked together with practiced precision that would have seemed impossible just months ago. "They're making their move," she said calmly. "Exactly as we expected. Activate Defense Protocol Echo." Across the world, hidden weapons systems came online. Not the obvious military bases. Those were merely decoys now. The real defenses were concealed in mountains, underwater, and beneath ordinary-looking buildings. The largest hegemony ship hovered over Washington, D.C. From its belly emerged a smaller craft that landed on the National Mall. Ambassador Xalthar stepped out, flanked by soldiers in gleaming armor. Their weapons were clearly visible, a show of force meant to intimidate. "People of Earth," his voice boomed through speakers, broadcast worldwide. "The galactic hegemony offers you one chance to surrender peacefully. Your integration into our empire will proceed with minimal disruption if you cooperate. Resistance will only bring suffering." The President of the United States stepped forward, alone and seemingly vulnerable. "Ambassador," she said, her voice equally amplified, "we delivered our answer 3 months ago. Nothing has changed." Xalthar's upper eyes blinked in what humans now recognized as amusement. "Your warning was noted and dismissed. You have no concept of the power you face. To demonstrate." He raised a hand, and one of the ships above New York fired a beam of energy that sliced through the empty top half of a skyscraper. The building had been evacuated days ago, but the display was meant to shock and terrify. Instead, it was the signal humanity had been waiting for. Major Daniel Williams and his Special Forces team were already in position near the Washington landing site. They looked nothing like soldiers now. Dressed as ordinary civilians, they blended perfectly with the evacuated city. "Green light," came the command through his earpiece. "Operation Surprise begins now." Across the globe, Earth's response was coordinated and unexpected. From hidden launchers, new missiles streaked toward the alien ships. They didn't carry nuclear warheads as the aliens might have expected. Instead, they carried something far more dangerous: Dr. Kevin Harrison's adapted technology. The missiles exploded against the alien shields, not to penetrate them, but to attach specialized devices that began to drain power from their systems. In the command center, Admiral Carter watched the first results come in. Shield drainers functioning at 60% efficiency, better than expected. Meanwhile, Major Williams and his team activated devices smaller than cell phones. The alien soldiers surrounding Xalthar suddenly clutched their heads, their communication systems overloaded by targeted frequencies discovered through study of their surveillance craft. The president stepped back as chaos erupted among the alien guards. From hidden compartments in the ground emerged armored U.S. soldiers carrying weapons that fired not bullets, but compressed electromagnetic pulses calibrated to the exact frequency of alien tech. Xalthar staggered backward, genuinely shocked. "This is impossible. Your weapons are primitive." "They were," the president replied. 3 months ago, above major cities, the huge alien ships began to list as their power systems faltered. Several smaller craft lost altitude control completely, though emergency systems prevented them from crashing into populated areas. In orbit, Captain Ethan Miller led a squadron of fighters that had been hidden on the far side of the moon. They weren't the primitive vessels the aliens had seen before. These were sleek hybrid craft, built with reverse-engineered technology from the surveillance ships humans had managed to capture. "All squadrons, engage according to plan," Miller ordered. "Remember, disable, don't destroy. We want their ships intact." The alien commander in orbit, unprepared for any real resistance, watched in disbelief as his sensors showed human fighters approaching with technology that shouldn't exist on such a primitive world. Back on Earth, Xalfar was now surrounded by human soldiers. "How?" he demanded. "How did you advance so quickly?" Major Williams stepped forward. "You should have listened to our warning. In the hegemony's long history, no species had ever repelled their first show of force. Until now. Until humans. 6 months passed since the first attack. The hegemony had retreated to the edges of the solar system to regroup, but everyone on Earth knew they would return. This time, they would come with a full invasion force. Professor Richard Johnson wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked in his underground laboratory. Once a university physics department, it was now a key research facility 20 stories beneath Chicago. Around him, 50 of the world's brightest minds worked day and night on alien technology. "Hand me that power coupling," he said to his assistant. "I think I've figured out how their faster-than-light drives work." Richard had never imagined he would become a weapons developer. Before the aliens came, he had studied theoretical physics and taught students. Now he was racing to give humanity the tools it needed to survive. The lab door opened, and Admiral Carter walked in. She looked tired, with new lines on her face and gray hairs that hadn't been there 6 months ago. "Please tell me you have good news, Professor," she said. Richard stood up straight. "We've made breakthroughs in shield technology and weapons systems. But the real game changer is this." He pointed to a large engine in the center of the room. "We can now build ships that can travel between stars." Above them, the world had changed dramatically. Cities damaged in the first attack were being rebuilt, not as they were before, but as hardened bunkers disguised as ordinary buildings. Every new structure contained hidden weapon systems and shelters. In orbit, new defense platforms floated silently, their designs based on captured alien technology, but modified with human innovations. Captain Miller, now General Miller, supervised their construction from a new space station. "Test firing of Platform 12, said his lieutenant. Miller watched as the platform fired an energy beam more powerful than anything humans had built before. The beam hit a target drone, destroying it instantly. "Power levels stable," reported the technician. "Cooling systems functioning within parameters." Miller nodded. "Good. Install them on all platforms." But Earth's leaders knew defenses alone wouldn't be enough. The hegemony controlled thousands of worlds. They could send wave after wave of ships. Humanity needed another strategy. In a small town that didn't appear on any maps, Lisa Martinez led a very different kind of project. As a former intelligence agent, she understood the importance of information. "They communicate differently than we do," she explained to her team. "Their command structure is rigid. Orders flow from the top down with little room for individual initiative." Her team had captured an alien officer during the first battle. For months, they had studied him, learned his language, and mapped the hegemony's command protocols. "We've found their weakness," Lisa said, pointing to a diagram on the wall. "Their entire battle network relies on central coordination. Disrupt that, and their forces will be paralyzed." Across the ocean, in the ruins of what was once Beijing, Major Williams trained new recruits in urban warfare. The mock battlefield was built to resemble alien ship interiors, based on the vessels they had captured. "They expect us to fight conventionally," he told the soldiers. "That's not how we'll win. We'll use every dirty trick, every unexpected tactic. When they zig, we zag." The recruits moved through the training course, learning to exploit weaknesses in alien armor and tactics that would confuse enemies used to fighting by strict rules of engagement. In orbit around Jupiter, the hegemony invasion fleet assembled. Hundreds of warships, troop carriers, and support vessels gathered in the largest military force the Empire had deployed in 5 centuries. Fleet Commander Zorav, the hegemony's most decorated military leader, studied the reports from the first failed attack. "They got lucky," he told his officers. "A primitive species cannot stand against the full might of the hegemony." We will crush their resistance and teach them the price of defiance." His officers nodded in agreement. None of them had ever experienced defeat. None could imagine that a species so new to space travel could pose a real threat. Back on Earth, humanity prepared. They had no illusions about the coming battle. It would be devastating. Many would die. But they had spent every moment since the first attack getting ready. When the hegemony returned, Earth would be waiting. And this time, humans wouldn't just fight to defend. They would fight to win. The hegemony fleet arrived with the sunrise over Asia. Thousands of ships darkened the sky, far more than the first attack. They spread across the globe, covering every continent. This was not a show of force. It was full-scale invasion. Admiral Susan Carter stood in the Global Command Center, watching as red dots appeared on the world map. All defense stations, activate. This is not a drill. The aliens expected Earth to be helpless. They were wrong. As their ships entered the atmosphere, hundreds of energy beams shot upward from hidden locations. Buildings that looked normal suddenly opened to reveal weapon systems. Fields that seemed empty became launch sites for advanced missiles. Fleet Commander Zorev watched in shock as his frontline ships began reporting damage. How is this possible? Their weapons should be primitive. His second-in-command pointed to the screen. "Sir, they've adapted our technology. These are not the same defenses they had before." On the ground, alien dropships landed in major cities, deploying thousands of troops. They carried weapons that could level buildings and wore armor that should have made them nearly invincible. In New York, Major Williams led his special forces against the alien soldiers. His team didn't look impressive, just ordinary people in light body armor. But they moved with perfect coordination, using the city itself as a weapon. Team 2, activate sonic disruptors, Williams ordered through his earpiece. Hidden devices placed throughout the city switched on, broadcasting frequencies that interfered with alien communication systems. The invaders suddenly found themselves unable to coordinate, their battle plans falling apart. In space, General Miller commanded Earth's orbital defenses. The new battle stations were vastly outnumbered, but they used hit-and-run tactics that confused the regimented alien fleet. "Focus fire on their command ships," Miller ordered. "Use pattern Delta to hide our real numbers." The human ships darted between larger alien vessels, firing precisely at weak points identified during months of study. Several hegemony cruisers lost power and drifted helplessly. In her secure facility, Lisa Martinez activated the cyber weapon her team had developed. It targeted the hegemony's battle network, inserting false commands and creating confusion throughout their fleet. "Signal penetration at 60%, reported her technician. "Their ships near Jupiter are receiving orders to retreat." Lisa nodded. "Keep pushing. We need to break their command structure completely." Admiral Carter received reports from around the world. The battle was fierce, with heavy losses on both sides. But for the first time in the hegemony's long history of conquest, they were not winning easily. In some places, they were not winning at all. "It's time," she said. "Launch Project Prometheus." Deep beneath the ocean, massive doors opened on the seafloor. Water rushed aside as enormous vessels rose toward the surface. Earth's first true warships, built in secret using knowledge gained from the aliens themselves. General Ryan Cooper stood on the bridge of the lead ship, the EDS Liberty. Around him, a crew trained on alien technology-operated systems that humans had not only mastered but improved. "All ships, prepare for ascent," Cooper ordered. "Weapons hot, shields at maximum." The Liberty broke the ocean's surface, water cascading from its hull. It was followed by 5 more vessels of similar size. They rose into the air, then accelerated upward at speeds no human craft had achieved before. In orbit, Fleet Commander Zorev was trying to regain control of his scattered forces when new alerts sounded. 6 large vessels approaching from Earth, reported his sensor officer. "Unknown configuration, but, sir, they're using our drive technology." On the Liberty's bridge, General Cooper received the battle updates. The enemy fleet is in disarray. Their command network is compromised. Target their flagship, Cooper ordered. Let's introduce ourselves properly. The Liberty accelerated toward the center of the alien fleet, its weapons charging. The other human ships spread out, each selecting key targets. For the first time in thousands of years, the galactic hegemony faced not just resistance, but the real possibility of defeat. These humans had not only survived the first attack, they had learned from it, adapted, and now were taking the fight to their would-be conquerors. As the Liberty approached the hegemony flagship, Cooper opened a communication channel. "Attention hegemony forces. We warned you to stay away from Earth. You should have listened." The battle for Earth lasted 3 days. When it ended, the skies cleared of alien ships. The hegemony fleet was in full retreat, leaving behind damaged vessels and stranded troops. For the first time in the Empire's history, they had been forced to withdraw from a conquest. On the bridge of the Liberty, General Cooper watched the enemy ships flee toward the outer solar system. "Shall we pursue them, sir?" asked his second-in-command. Cooper nodded slowly. "Yes, but not just to drive them away. We're going beyond our system." The plan had been in place for months. Earth would not be content with defense alone. Humanity had learned too much from studying alien technology. They had seen maps of nearby stars, learned of other worlds under hegemony control. If they stopped now, the Empire would simply rebuild and return with an even larger force. "All Prometheus ships, prepare for faster-than-light jump," Cooper ordered. "Our target is the hegemony outpost at Proxima Centauri." In the Global Command Center, Admiral Carter briefed world leaders on the next phase of the war. "We've pushed them out of our system, but that's not enough. The hegemony controls thousands of worlds. They'll be back unless we take the fight to them." The leaders looked concerned but determined. One asked, "Can our ships really travel between stars?" "Yes," Carter replied, "thanks to Professor Johnson's team. We've not only copied their technology but improved it. Our ships are faster and more efficient than theirs." She pointed to a star map showing systems near Earth. "We'll target their nearby outposts first, then push toward their core worlds. We need to make them understand that attacking Earth was the worst mistake they ever made." Captain Jack Wilson stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiance, one of the 6 Prometheus ships. His crew was nervous but ready. None of them had ever traveled beyond the solar system before. Today, they would make history. "All systems ready for jump," reported his navigator. "Coordinates locked on Proxima Centauri." Wilson took a deep breath. "Execute jump." Space seemed to bend around the ship. Stars streaked and blurred. Then suddenly, they were there, orbiting an alien world with 2 moons. Below them was a hegemony colony, with sprawling cities and orbital platforms. The colony had no significant defenses. It had never needed them. No enemy had ever reached this far into hegemony space. "They're sending confused communications," said the communications officer. "They don't understand who we are or how we got here." Wilson opened a channel. "Attention hegemony colony. This is Captain Jack Wilson of the Earth Defense Ship Defiance. Your Empire attacked our world. We defended ourselves. Now we've come to ensure you never threaten us again." The colony surrendered without a fight. They had no weapons that could challenge a Prometheus ship. Within hours, humans walked on an alien world for the first time, securing the hegemony's regional command center and its valuable data. Dr. Olivia Martinez, a neurologist who had joined the mission, made a surprising discovery while studying captured aliens. "Their brains process information differently than ours," she explained to Wilson. "They think linearly, following patterns they've used for centuries. They struggle to adapt quickly to new situations." She connected an alien neural interface to a computer. "Watch this," she said, placing her hand on the device. The alien technology responded to her in ways it never had to its creators. "We can use their technology more creatively than they can," she explained. Our brains are wired for innovation in ways theirs aren't. As the Defiance secured the colony, the other 5 Earth ships spread to nearby systems, each finding similar results. Hegemony worlds unprepared for attack, with defenses designed to control subject populations, not fight an outside enemy. On the hegemony capital world, the Galactic Council received the shocking news. Not only had Earth repelled their invasion, but human ships were now appearing at Imperial outposts, moving faster than should have been possible for such a newly spacefaring species. How can they be at Proxima Centauri already? Demanded Council Leader Vexor. That's not possible. Ambassador Xalfar, who had barely escaped Earth with his life, spoke quietly. I warned you. These humans are different. We should have listened when they told us to stay away. Within 6 months, human ships had captured 20 hegemony worlds. None could stand against the Prometheus fleet, which grew larger as Earth's shipyards produced more vessels using the alien technology they now understood better than its creators. Word spread through the galaxy. A new power had emerged, one that had defeated the undefeated hegemony. Many subject species watched with hope as humans pushed deeper into Imperial territory. On the hegemony capital world of Zentara Prime, the Galactic Council met in emergency session. The Grand Hall, usually a place of calm deliberation, now echoed with angry voices and accusations. How could this happen? Demanded Councillor Draz, his tentacles writhing in agitation. These humans were primitive just 1 year ago. Council Leader Vexor's crystalline skin had lost its luster from stress. Our reports indicate they've already reached the Orion sector. At this rate, they could be at our doorstep within months. Ambassador Xalfar stood to address the council. Once a respected diplomat, he was now blamed for the disaster. We must negotiate with them. I have studied humans closely. They don't want conquest for its own sake. They want security. Negotiate. With primitives. Councillor Draz scoffed. Absurd. But other voices in the council chamber supported Xalfar. The hegemony had never faced a threat like this. Their mighty fleets were being defeated. Their subject worlds were rising in rebellion, inspired by Earth's example. Send the message, Vexor finally ordered. Request peace talks. On Earth, Admiral Carter read the transmission with surprise. They want to meet on neutral ground to discuss peace terms, she told the gathered world leaders. This is unprecedented in their history. Is it a trap? Asked one leader. Possibly, she replied. But our intelligence suggests they're genuinely afraid. We've done what no species has ever done, pushed them back and taken their worlds. After much debate, Earth's united government agreed to the meeting. But who would represent humanity in this historic moment? They needed someone who understood both diplomacy and history. Patricia Allen had been a history professor specializing in conflict resolution before the invasion. When her university was destroyed in the first attack, she joined the resistance. Now she found herself appointed as Earth's chief negotiator. I never expected to make history, she told her assistant as they prepared for the mission. Just to teach it. The meeting place was a space station orbiting a dead star, truly neutral territory that belonged to neither side. Earth ships arrived first, taking defensive positions. The hegemony delegation arrived next, led by Council Leader Vexor himself. In the station's main conference room, Patricia faced the alien leaders across a long table. Behind her stood military advisors including General Cooper and Captain Wilson. We are prepared to discuss terms, Vexor began, his translator converting his words to English. The hegemony is willing to recognize Earth as an independent system. Patricia smiled slightly. That's generous, considering we've already taken 20 of your worlds. She placed a data pad on the table. These are our terms. They're not negotiable. Vexor read the demands with widening eyes. This would remake the entire galactic order. Yes, Patricia agreed. It would. Your empire was built on conquest and subjugation. That ends now. The terms were indeed revolutionary. Independence for all subject species who desired it. open borders for trade, shared technology, and a new council where all worlds would have equal representation. Why should we agree to this? Demanded Councillor Draz. You cannot have conquered enough worlds to force these terms. General Cooper stepped forward. Because you still don't understand what you're facing. Let me show you something. He activated a hologram showing Earth's history, thousands of years of warfare, technological advancement, and adaptation. It showed how humans had fought themselves more brutally than any alien ever had. This is what shaped us, Patricia explained. We spent millennia fighting each other, developing weapons, tactics, and the will to survive against all odds. When you threatened us, you united us. For the first time in our history, all humans fought together. She looked each alien in the eye. We don't want to conquer you. We want to ensure that no one ever threatens our home again. Zalthar, who had been quiet until now, addressed his fellow council members. I told you to stay away from Earth. Now you understand why. 5 years passed since the peace treaty was signed. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have imagined before humans entered the wider universe. The galactic hegemony was no more. In its place stood the interstellar cooperative, where all member worlds had equal voices. Former subject species now governed themselves, though many chose to maintain ties with their neighbors. Susan Carter, once Admiral of Earth's Defense Forces, now headed the Earth Diplomatic Corps. Her office overlooked the new Galactic Embassy in Geneva, where representatives from 50 alien species worked together. The Raxus delegation has arrived. Her assistant informed her. They're requesting membership in the cooperative. Susan nodded. Earth will sponsor their application. It was a common request these days. Species that had once feared the hegemony now sought Earth's protection and guidance. In orbit around Earth, a massive space station served as the headquarters for the new cooperative defense fleet. Its ships were crewed by humans and aliens working side by side. General Ethan Miller, who had delivered humanity's first warning so many years ago, commanded this diverse force. Miller walked the station's main promenade, watching humans and aliens talking, trading, and living together peacefully. It still amazed him how quickly the galaxy had accepted the new order. General, the patrol ships report all sectors clear, said his alien second-in-command, a tall being from a world that had been one of the first to ally with Earth. Thank you, Commander, Miller replied. Keep the outer patrols alert. Some former hegemony hardliners are still causing trouble in the rim sectors. Earth itself had been transformed. Cities damaged in the invasion had been rebuilt with new technologies. Flying vehicles moved between gleaming towers. In homes and businesses, devices that would have seemed magical just years ago were now commonplace. Professor Richard Johnson, whose work had helped humans adapt alien technology, now led the Interspecies Research Institute. Scientists from dozens of worlds worked together, combining their unique perspectives to create innovations none could have developed alone. The new medical scanner is ready for testing, a young alien researcher told him, her 6 eyes blinking with excitement. It combines human intuitive design with Zentaran energy manipulation. Richard smiled. Excellent. This could save millions of lives across the cooperative. In a school in what was once Beijing, children learned about the stars not as distant points of light, but as places they might one day visit. Their teacher, once Major Daniel Williams, now educated the next generation about the wider universe. Who can tell me which species has 3 hearts? He asked his class of human and alien children. A small blue-skinned child raised her hand. The Proteans do. My neighbor is Protean, and she let me listen to her heart's beating. Daniel nodded. Very good, and who knows which planet has rings you can see from its surface? Lisa Martinez had returned to her hometown after years working in alien communication systems. She now lived a quiet life, though her work had revolutionized how species across the galaxy talk to each other. Walking through the park, she passed humans and visitors from other worlds enjoying the sunshine together. 5 years ago, these aliens would have been invaders. Now they were tourists, students, and diplomats. On the former hegemony capital world, Zalfar, once an ambassador and now a respected advisor, met with the Cooperative Council. Vexor and other former hegemony leaders now shared power with representatives from Earth and formerly subjugated worlds. The humans continue to surprise us, Zalfar told the council. They could have conquered us all. Instead, they forced us to become better. At the edge of the solar system, a massive monument orbited Pluto. It was visible to any ship entering human space, with words written in both Earth languages and the common galactic script. Humans gave the Galactic Empire one warning: stay away from Earth. Now we welcome all who come in peace and promise justice to those who come for war. The choice is yours. The galaxy had learned its lesson. Humans were not to be underestimated. They were dangerous when threatened, but also capable of incredible generosity and creativity. They had transformed a stagnant empire into a thriving cooperative, not through conquest, but through the simple insistence that everyone deserved freedom and respect. All because someone should have listened for one simple warning.